Nigar Arpadarai, thank you so much for joining us again on AnewZ. I'd like to start by asking you to reflect on COP29, an amazing event for the country. Almost every country in the world was here, and some real achievements.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. It's really great to speak about COP29, about its success, now looking back to what we've achieved. I think that it was a really, truly historic COP because of the number of decisions, because of the content, of level of organizations, and I think that we have managed to put COP and global climate agenda to the next level. And just to remind the achievements, well, the finance goal, which is the target of 1.3 trillion USD channeling to developing countries, with the core finance goal is 300 billion to the developing countries. And also there were a number of decisions that took decades to agree on, and it's very symbolic that at Baku COP, at COP29, it was agreed on. So like Article 6 on high integrity carbon markets, loss and damage fund fully operational and will be ready to provide finance in 2025. Now, another important thing was Lima work program on gender, to have gender considerations in the work of the parties. Another important decisions like high-level champions mandate renewable. So all of these decisions, and they've been so important, and it took years to negotiate on them. And it's symbolic that at COP29 we managed to bring all the parties together. We managed to bring parties, governments and non-party stakeholders together. And we have those outcomes, which makes our COP really historic COP. And just to come up with some personal takeaways, how I see the process. First of all, I was extremely proud to see what my country has achieved. Looking at all those Azerbaijani citizens, civil servants, volunteers, operations team, everyone coming together, uniting behind one goal to make it a perfect COP. This is what we wanted to showcase. And we've achieved that because we had that feedback from everyone there, saying that this is the very well organized, one of the most well organized COPs ever. And the outcome that our diplomats, that our negotiators bring, puts the final dot to the overall process. It was amazing. I think that we've done a great job. And another thing that I would also share as my personal takeaway is that non-state actors are really ready to do more. When I say non-state actors, I mean private sector, philanthropies, civil society, cities, academia, scientific circles. So all these groups, they are becoming part of the global climate agenda more and more, because you speak about the biggest challenge to humanity. You cannot do it only with the government, so you need to involve all of them. And especially when we speak about private sector, they are ready to do more, but we need to equip them with necessary resources. So they need knowledge, capacity building, they need finance, they need technologies. So that's something that I think that global community should work on. And obviously, another reflection is that the Global South is becoming a bigger part of COP process, which is also, I think, organically happening. And yes, overall, it's great to look back and to see at our COP, the successful COP, and also to mention, and just so that our people watching us know, that our presidency continues. So we've started a big number of initiatives, and all those projects that we have already launched, we will be continuing throughout the next year to Belém. And so we are very optimistic, and we are very inspired. But of course, much has been done, but not enough. There are so many things that need to be done. So we need to work together with the global climate community to achieve them.
It's a really interesting point that you made, that actually the COP event itself is over, but of course the presidency not at all. The work continues. Something that you've spoken about publicly before is the importance of digital innovation and also societal impact too when it comes to energy transition. It's also a part of the 2030 strategy, the national vision. Can you talk a bit about how this work post COP29 dovetails into that strategy?
First of all, Azerbaijan is very open about its commitment and about its drive towards renewables. And we have already announced that we would like to increase our renewable capacity by 30% by 2030. And we have great potential for that. And Azerbaijan was very open about its, vision for the future. But if we speak about digitalization, I would like to mention that at COP29, one of the new elements that COP29 presidents have added is that we had a separate thematic days for digitalization, for human development, for tourism. And we also had a thematic day on climate finance, investment and trade. So why we did that? Because we wanted to prioritize, we wanted to focus on this specific thematic days, subjects that are so important. For example, when you speak about digitalization, for me, digitalization comes with efficiency. So it's all about efficiency, right? And you cannot imagine any big process without digital element in it, and especially when you speak about the green transition. So digitalization and the new technologies are coming with new solutions. But we also need to make sure that this digitalization is a climate conscious digitalization, with all those technologies. So that's why one of the declarations that COP29 presidents has launched is the Green Digital Action, which has been endorsed already by 90 countries and by more than 1,000 stakeholders from global tech community. If you look back to the history of humanity, technological breakthroughs have always helped us to come up to the next stage of development, of economic development and overall societal also. And now we live in a world when we have digitalization, when we also have its trendy child, artificial intelligence. So we even have, some conversations that artificial intelligence will replace humans. I don't look at it in that way. I think that artificial intelligence is giving us a very good chance to leverage, if we speak about green transition. So it gives us a chance to bring our creativity. It gives us a chance to come up with ingenuity. So that's why it's extremely important to have a special focus on digitalization, especially when you speak about green transition. So that's why we have tried to bring together all global and regional and local, stakeholders to discuss this issue. And our declaration is a good example of how, governments and also private sector are endorsing and are uniting together to make it happen. Another thing is extremely important, that all those technological solutions and digitalization by itself is not being used only by some big companies or big governments, because access to technologies is extremely important. So we also, what we call and what we promote is that the access to technologies should be open for everyone, for big and small countries, for big and small corporations, for everyone, because this is the only way we can achieve really honest and fair environment and ecosystem.
One of the other sectors that you've spoken about extensively is tourism and the opportunity in tourism for that sector to be more sustainable. Now, tourism is interesting because in a sense it's been described as the good guy and the bad guy when it comes to energy transition. What are your hopes for the future of tourism?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many discussions over tourism, that people have been, traveling, and they will be traveling. So what we need to do, we need to make sure that we put some new behaviors, patterns to the habits of people, to the way they consume, to the way there are new services. Because people, again, as I said, they have been traveling and they will be traveling, but tourism should be sustainable. We should put tourism as a part of a national climate plans of the governments. So that's why one of the ideas and one of the declarations that we had was specifically on tourism. So because tourism is something that comes with the development, and it provides for livelihoods for millions of people from all around the world. And the only way to make it really sustainable is to include sustainable practices and new habits to people. And I think it's relevant to everything. We speak about the efforts that governments are doing. We speak about the private sector, but we need to widen the circle. We need to make sure that ordinary people understand what COP process is and what is the challenges coming with climate change, so that they make changes to their everyday habits. to have sustainable practices into their overall, let's say, operations and livelihoods. This is the only way, I think. And sometimes I even complain that this, COPs are a closed club, but we need to make it open for everyone to be part of and to understand what is it all about.
An open club for everyone. As always, thank you so much for joining us on AnewZ.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.